Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to your new favorite comprehensive guide on conquering the Empyrean Forge expedition in New World Aeternum. This endgame dungeon, located in Great Cleave, is packed with challenging mechanics, fiery bosses, and some rewarding loot. Whether you're aiming for a standard run or tackling the mutated versions for juicier rewards, this guide has got you covered. And of course, this is going to be a real-time walkthrough guide just like my others, so go ahead and sit back, relax, maybe grab a snack, and let's get hot and sweaty in the fires of the forge. Alright guys, so let's get right into it. As always, I'm going to be talking over this live as I'm watching the playback, so if I say things a little weird or sus, don't worry about it. It's just the first thing that comes to my mind. Empyrean Forge is all about big P's. Big pools. What else would that stand for? At the beginning of the dungeon, we're going to run past all of these mobs and group them up at the end of the walkway in front of the big door. Now, I do want to say, for all you ranged DPS, I know that you can shoot the mobs from way far in the back, but trust us, you don't have to prove to us that you're able to hit them. Just wait for them to group up, let the tank aggro them all, and then start shooting at them. My personal philosophy when I'm going through a dungeon, especially in a random queue, is if you pull it, you tank it. So don't get mad if I run past you while a mob turns around and claps your cheeks. Anyways, while everyone's killing mobs, one person is able to go ahead and start opening that sealed door. In a perfect world, it wouldn't be your healer because they should be healing the team, but that's okay, the mobs are pretty much dead anyways. You can also wait till everything's already dead, but this is just for max efficiency. Once we get through the door, the tank is going to start pulling everything on the left side of the room and head up the stairs. We aren't going to find anything just yet. We're going to group them all up and gather the things at the top of the stairs and then start fighting. There's a lot of mobs. It's a very big P, but I think you can take it. So while we're running up and fighting, let me talk about some of the things that you might want to bring and use for this dungeon. First up, there's the normal things that you want to consider using when you're running expeditions just to help yourself and the team and make everything go faster and smoother. That would be things like honing stones, the attribute food that you need for your build, hearty meals, energizing meals if you're a healer, human ward potions for this dungeon specifically, a protection amulet for whatever mutation the dungeon is currently in. And as far as gems go, you can change them for the mutation, or you can go ahead and just rock what you normally rock. Opals are great if you don't want to switch out gems for every dungeon that you run, but generally for M1s and M2s, you don't really need to worry about gems so much. That said, I do recommend at least putting on the opals because what guys? We always use protection. Alright guys, so once you're done dealing with those mobs, or mostly done dealing with them, or while you're dealing with them, someone can go ahead and activate that ancient Azoth seal that's at the top of the stairs. The rest of the team is going to run down and keep working on progressing through the dungeon. In a perfect world, your healer wouldn't be activating the seal, but again, I'm also just trying to show you the things that you need to do when I can. So that's why I'm doing that. But yeah, so one DPS stays back and activates the seal while everyone else moves forward and keeps fighting. Now, this next big P is going to be the biggest one of the dungeon. Sorry, I cannot take myself seriously. I mean, we're having fun here. It doesn't all have to be serious, you know? It's a game after all. Anyways, this pull is kind of spicy because it has a named enemy and he's kind of thick. So don't feel bad if you die here. A lot of people do. I'm about to, as you're going to see. I just honestly wasn't thinking and I didn't eat food like a silly girl. But I mean, honestly, this is the reality of a randomly queued dungeon in New World these days. This pull was made even harder because the DPS in the back pulled some mobs and decided to try and fight them by themselves, instead of just running them back up to the tank so he could grab them. And that's really just standard for a random mutation. So yeah, this named enemy hits kind of hard. He has a pretty nasty burn that he applies to you and you need to eat food. And I just didn't. And now I'm on the ground because I'm a silly girl. And I'm gonna be here for a minute while they're killing things and respawning and running back and stuff. So let's go ahead and fast forward to when I'm picked up. So what's happening here that you didn't see is that there's a lady, Nora, that you need to talk to, and then a pressure plate that you need to stand on, and that's it. They're literally just right behind me where I was laying on the ground, and that's all you have to do to be able to do this next part. In order to solve the ancient mechanism, you're going to need 2 players. One person is going to stand on that side of the room over there where you see Ashley, and they need to stay there on that plate. The second person needs to go to the part of the mechanism on the right side of the room and start turning the circles. The symbols need to match the ones on the left side of the room when you read left to right. Some people like to call them out for the team members. It's always pretty nice, especially because you have to turn your whole camera, and because you'll have it in the chat for later when you need to use the same combination. But if not, it's okay, you can just turn your camera and read it. Once you match the symbols on the mechanism, the door of the forge is going to open and you'll be able to head to the reliquary. Navigate the broken bridge and try not to fall into the lava. The heal is normally in the area of the broken bridge. Someone went ahead and ran ahead of us and pulled him away, which made it very chill to cross, but he can easily knock you off the bridge. Once you're past the bridge, go ahead and start fighting the heal. You're going to kill the heal, and then after the heal dies, another heal is going to spawn along with a primordial spawn. Once you kill those, you'll be able to move forward. Next, you're going to run through the foundry, which is a pretty dangerous place. The heal somehow didn't die the first 2 times you killed it. I mean, I guess it is the lore of Aeternum, so it makes sense actually. Anyways, he's waiting for you in the middle of the next room, but you can't get to him without running around a jumping puzzle. And the floor is literally lava. So watch out for that burn circle because it does knock you and again can cause you to fall into the lava and burn to a little crisp. It's happened to me many times. So you just go ahead and jump across the platforms, run under the pistons, be careful not to get crushed by them, climb up the steps and jump across the rocks, and then you'll finally be able to jump down and fight the heal. If you have a ranged weapon, you are able to shoot the heal from the entrance of the foundry without doing the jumping puzzle, but at least one person does need to do the puzzle so that the boss doesn't retreat and reset. If you look closely, you can see that happened here. The person started shooting him and the boss went back to the middle of the room and reset. If you do choose to stay at the entrance, once the heal is finally dead, a path to the exit to join your team will open up for you. Once the heal is dead, we're essentially at the first boss. We're gonna have to kill this ghost that's ahead of us, and then we just run around the corner and it's time to fight Ifrit. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't say half of the things in this game right, and that's okay. The first boss has a few mechanics that are very well telegraphed, so let's go over them before we get to the encounter so you know what to look for. Remember, knowledge is half of the battle. The first mechanic are fireballs that you see on the floor that move from the southeast wall and go towards you. To avoid getting hit, you can dodge through them or move out of the way. The second mechanic are the lava balls that come from the sky. You're going to get a marker over your head indicating that a fireball is going to drop on you. So the best thing to do if you get marked for a fireball is to move away from the boss and stay away from your team, but just generally don't stand on top of each other. They do stay on the ground for a little bit, so the placement can make things a little spicy later on, but it's easily avoidable and I believe in you. Well, I believe in some of you. There's the fireballs that I was talking about, and that was the red circle. Here come the lava balls. Boom, they're on the ground. Next, you're going to see a fire X on the ground. Stand between the lines, don't stand in the fire, fired bad. That was it, pretty simple. And next is the flamethrower. Stand in between the fire lines and rotate with the boss. If you stand in the fire, you will die. Alright, here comes the flamethrower. You see the lines first, and then they start to rotate. All you have to do is run in a circle around the boss and don't die. You are able to hit the boss a little in this part, but it's honestly not worth it. Just run around, avoid the fire, and start hitting the boss after it's over. And all of those mechanics are going to repeat themselves. Here you see the fire X, here is the fireballs. We do a lot more damage than we used to in the past, so some of these mechanics happen really quickly. But there are technically 2 phases. In the second phase, you get increased frequency of fireballs and lava balls. The flamethrower is now in an X pattern, and the boss does a fire cleave. And you can just avoid it by dodging like normal. But yeah, this boss fight is pretty simple. It's actually kind of fun. I like this one. I really like the boss fights in the Forge. They're a little chaotic, and I think that's exciting. Once you kill the boss, someone is once again going to have to run up the stairs and activate the Ancient Azoth seal so that the team can move forward. For the next little bit, we're just going to be running and doing a big pull up to the door, so avoid the piston, get to the door, and don't die. And let me go ahead and take this moment to talk about the group composition a little bit. Your tank is just a standard tank, running, pulling, grabbing aggro, not dying. They don't really get to switch it up as much as some of the other roles, so if you're tanking, just do what you normally do. Give your team the big P's and they're going to love you long time. And if for any reason you've skipped ahead to this particular point in the video, big P's means big pools, of course. I don't know why, I just feel like I needed to specify. As far as healers go, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I love to heal, and for mutations, I like running Splash of Light, Beacon, and Sacred Ground, especially in a random queue, because it's going to allow me to plant down some heals for everyone to go to, and also heal the group at scary times, and in random queues, there are a lot of scary times. But healers also don't really get to switch it up as much. You're going to, of course, need a life staff, otherwise you're not a healer, and your secondary should definitely be the Void Gauntlet. It's just a really strong secondary for a healer, but if someone else in the group does have a Void Gauntlet and you want to switch it up a little bit, you could throw on the artifact flail called Power Stone. We are, once again, going to open a door with an Ancient Azov seal, and once we get through the doors, you'll need to run up the stairs, avoid the piston, ignore the mobs here, we don't have to even touch them, jump off of the ledge, and fight the two named enemies. And I will say, when you jump off the ledge, make sure you actually jump. Make sure you get some air and you go forward. You'll see two people right here just kind of scoot off of the edge and they fall into the lava. You need to get some air. You need to have ups. Physically jump or you're going to die. Don't worry, I didn't forget about DPS. You can use whatever you want in this dungeon as far as DPS goes, and it does help to have some ranged DPS for the last boss. Especially if you're running random mutations, since things can get spooky there. Just don't bring any illegal combinations. I'm looking at all the random Q DPS that bring a life staff as a secondary, or a flail and shield in a medium build, for example. Definitely just a random combination I thought of on the spot, and totally not something someone brought to this dungeon that you're seeing in the video. Nope, couldn't be this one. That was sarcasm, by the way. It's this one. I get that you want to play the way you want to play and have fun, but you know what? It's not a single player game. Well, maybe if you're cutting trees, but if you're in an expedition, it's a multiplayer part of the game, and you need to think about other people. If you queue as DPS with a life staff, you deserve to be kicked. I said it and I meant it. And if you're DPSing in a medium build, there's many other problems. Just be in light. You can do it. I believe in you. But that's not what this video is about. Let's get back to the action. Once you fight those named enemies, you're going to run down and do another big pool. This pool also gets a little sketchy, but if you have a good healer, everything should be fine. There's another ancient mechanism here that requires 2 people to solve, but first you're going to want to deal with all these mobs and the named enemy. Now, I will say, I haven't been playing as much as I used to, and the last time I tried to queue random expeditions, and I went to Empyrean Forge, it went horribly wrong. Like, it was genuinely scary, the amount of people that were failing at all parts of the expedition. I did queue 2 expeditions to film this video, just to make sure that I got everything I wanted to get, and it wasn't as bad as it used to be when I was running expeditions before. Maybe I got lucky. I don't want to say that that's just the case in general, but I'm proud of you guys. It feels a little better than it felt a few months ago. I didn't have a horrible time, and that kind of made me happy. Anyways, that's enough dooming for me. Well, I mean, that wasn't really me being a doomer, right? I was saying it's a little better. This mechanism works exactly like the first one, and it actually starts out with the same combination as the first one at the beginning of the expedition. So one person needs to stand on the pressure plate at the bottom, and another needs to climb up and turn the mechanism on top. A ghost spawns over and over again while someone is standing on the pressure plate, and that person needs to stay there until the combination is put in correctly. Otherwise, the combination is going to change. So whatever you do, don't step off of that plate. Let your team take care of the primordial spawns that appear, and in theory, this should be done in no time. Now these mobs that those people are fighting over there, just ignore them and jump down into the boss room. There's no reason to fight them. You can fight them if you want to, but you don't need to. Also, make sure that you run by that respawn point, because if you run down the middle or other side of the room, you won't activate it, and if you die and the team wipes, it gets kind of annoying having to run back. I think I'm getting better at yapping. This isn't going too bad without a script. So this boss has a few mechanics, but mostly he just hurts. The boss is going to do a spinning attack towards the farthest player in the room, so if you're standing there, watch out for that. And as you just saw, that's the very first attack. The boss also does a big smashy leap hit, so just watch out for that and don't be in the way. Like I said, it's not a bad idea to bring ranged DPS to this boss fight if you need to. Now you can see some mini volcanoes spawning on the ground. Just don't stand on top of them and you'll be fine. He also caught me sleeping and did the spinny attack towards me. I almost got downed, but that's okay, it happens. So you can kind of see the pattern of the first phase. He does the spinny attack, he does the jumping, leaping, big spiky attack, he does the smaller jumping attack. And now he's going to spawn some lava in the middle of the room. Just don't stand inside of it. The tank is standing inside of it because he's a boss. So the boss is going to keep repeating these same mechanics until you get to half health, and then he's going to move into phase 2. In phase 2, things really start to get chaotic because the boss does all of the mechanics from phase 1 and adds in these balls that you see here. The balls can spawn in the corners of the rooms and also on the very direct side. You know where the ball is going to spawn because you see a big red circle right there and a line coming out from it indicating where the ball is going to move towards. But it always goes in a straight line, so either from side to side or in a diagonal across the room. If you stand in the way of the ball, it is going to kill you, so be careful because it is hard to pick people up in this boss fight. There's just a lot going on. If for some reason you're unable to get out of the way of the ball, you are able to time it correctly and dodge so that it misses you, but you have to be very careful. It's very sketchy and hard to do. My best advice is just to increase your field of view so that you can kind of see where the ball's starting without having to turn your camera so much. And then just not stand in the path of the balls, really. Trust me from experience, the faster you kill this boss, the better. But I mean, because of power creep, it really shouldn't be as hard to get through this boss fight as it used to be. Of course, things always happen. And you never know what could happen in a random queue. Just assume the worst could happen. I also want to mention that if you put on a fire protection amulet for this boss encounter, it can help with survivability a lot. But the boss just repeats these mechanics over and over again until either he's dead or you're dead. As far as rewards go from this specific expedition, you can get the Inferno Fire Staff artifact from this boss encounter, Commander Marius, and you can get the Durgot's Blade Rapier from the first boss encounter, Ifrit. Of course, artifacts only come from mutated versions of the dungeons. Ifrit also drops the Fire of Life Life Staff in regular and mutated versions of the expedition, and it's a really good PvE life staff if you haven't gotten into the Gorgon raid yet. And that's it, guys. Now you're ready to take on the Empyrean Forge. No more terrorizing random expeditions for you. But seriously, I hope you have fun. This is a fast-paced dungeon that can be an absolute blast with the right people. And watching this guy gives you a totally real, definitely not fake, 69% RNG boost for artifacts, so you're going to have yours in no time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, drop some fire emojis in the comments. And as always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share to help your girl out with the algorithm, but most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next time, friends.